I play a lot of games for this channel, which may come as a surprise since I average about one video every financial quarter, and even those barely make it across the finish line. But the simple truth is, I don't have the time nor the energy to make deeply introspective, highly produced, cleverly entertaining videos that punch way above their weight on every game I've fallen for. If you want to help support the channel, please like and subscribe, and maybe think about signing up for my Patreon. Okay, bye! But after being recognized in the wild as the Void Stranger guy a couple of times now, which, okay, I guess it's better than being recognized as the God of War guy, and introducing unsung modern classics like Ultros and Potionomics to a somewhat wider audience. If you want to help support the channel, there's a couple more lesser known games I'd like to talk about. Games just as deserving of your time, attention, and more importantly, money, but without the full-throated focus of a single topic video. Most of these games are under 1,000 Steam reviews, some falling well below that threshold.
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
And some of these games have even been given to me by the developers, which is a weird sentence to say out loud, especially because most of my videos barely crack 1,000 views.
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
So, without further ado, here's 5 obscure, underloved, hidden indie gems I fell for hard that you more than likely have never even heard of. Up first, Hollow Knight is a Souls-like Metroidvania with hand-drawn art that...
Gabby J!
Yay!
Alright, first up for real is Tunnet, developed by Puzzled Squid, released in 2023, currently sitting at slightly above 500 overwhelmingly positive Steam reviews, and what you would get when you cross the dig anywhere ethos of Minecraft with the open-ended engineering of a Zachtronics puzzler. Add in a dash of horror and
Baby, you got a stew going.
in Tunnet, you play as a supposedly soulless worker drone who wakes up one day in an underground network of tunnels designed to house the remains of humanity after a cataclysmic surface event. Only, it seems like none of the humans made it down here.
Oh god, oh Jesus!
Your job is to connect the central mainframe to 4 other major computers spread across a surprisingly vast map by laying down oodles and oodles of wiring to create a data network. Problem is, most of the tunnel network is either unfinished or collapsed, so you need to drill through layers and layers of rock to get from one bunker to the next. Problem there is that drilling costs cash in amounts that steadily increase the further you get from the central mainframe. Sure, there's a free cash button you can hammer endlessly back at the spawn point, but this isn't cookie clicker. There's gotta be a better way to make a buck. After all, the game's called Tunnet, not Carpal. Tunnet. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to tip your waitress. Try the veal. Helpfully, there's smaller terminals you can find that regularly send out data packets, nicely visualized as little electrical sparks coursing through your network's wiring. These data packets need to reach specific destinations where they'll be banked, netting you some real-world cash. The more terminals you connect to their intended destinations, the higher your passive income climbs. The further you're able to explore, the more terminals you discover, and... oh god. This is gonna be a problem, ain't it? Tunnet scratches that compulsive Zachtronics itch where it's not so much figuring out the solution to a problem as it is going back and doing it better once it's done. There's something so satisfying about surveying a complex spaghetti mess of wiring, having a real good think about where things can be streamlined, then putting in the work that makes the line go up even faster. Tunnet also does the classic Zachtronics move of ranking your network against everyone else who's ever played the game, letting you know just how pitiful your current numbers are in the grand scheme of things, but also driving you to keep improving your ever-expanding network, especially when your passive income suddenly takes a dip for unknown reasons. This could be due to several data packets hitting a bottleneck and canceling each other out, or other reasons. Hey Phil, you cool? Okay, I'll check back later. So if any of this sounds interesting, do yourself a favor and give Tunnet a try. It really is one of the better Zach-likes I've ever played and deserves to be on every puzzle lover's radar. Next up, we have Space Sprouts, a lovely little time loop game by Schluter Games. Schleuder? God damn it, I even took German in high school. I don't even remember any German. Made by Schluter Games, released in 2025, and currently sitting at a whopping 29 positive Steam reviews, which is... You said it. In Space Sprouts, you play as a grandmother, recounting to her grandchild how she arrived on their home planet all those years ago. You checked your bags, you got on the ship, you buckled up, and before you knew it, the journey was over. No muss, no fuss, no coconuts. But there's one small problem. That story's way too boring for the little one listening. She asks you to tell it again, with more flavor this time, and being the loving grandmother that you are, you oblige. So, instead of staying in your chair, you get up and explore other parts of the ship to see what kinds of mischief you can get into. This can be as simple as shooting some hoops in the gym to as complex as, this is fine. Practically anything you do in the game counts as rediscovering a memory. Miniature puzzles that are tallied up at the end of the current run as your granddaughter cheers delightedly and adds a little more playtime to every subsequent trip. There's also a few core memories or slightly harder puzzles that require a few more steps to solve and then are converted to crayon drawings taped to the wall. If there's any goal to the game at all, it'd be to discover all the core memories, though really, Space Sprouts is much less a game with a concrete ending in mind, as it is a physics-based toy box. And what a box of toys it is, as the game's logic lets you get into some hilariously sticky situations. Everything about Space Sprouts is charming, but doubly so if you have kids to play along with. My 6-year-old had a blast watching me play, coming up with his own ideas for what I should do next and laughing hysterically at the resulting chaos. And did I mention Space Sprouts only has 29 positive Steam reviews? Come on, people, we can do better than that. Give Space Sprouts a chance, especially if you have kids or younger cousins or something. I don't know what your family looks like. Up next, we have Phoenix Springs by Caligram Studios. Released in 2024 and currently at a paltry 146 very positive Steam reviews, despite being nominated for multiple awards, landing on several Game of the Year lists, and being featured in the New York Times. Sweet 6-pound, 7-ounce baby Jesus, there's just no justice in the world. Phoenix Springs is a point-and-click adventure game through the lens of a Philip K. Dick novel where you play as Iris, a reporter in search of her estranged brother. Phoenix Springs trades in the language of memories, every puzzle presented in the form of making connections between two separate trains of thought, which may lead Iris down new avenues of reasoning that contain their own branching paths and dead ends, and with lots of cheeky achievements for connecting certain thoughts together.
Yes, albeit 10 times smaller.
What starts as a simple investigation quickly turns to the surreal as Iris travels to the eponymous oasis and meets a vibrant cast of eccentric characters. Though it's up to your interpretation if Iris is even in an actual physical place interacting with actual physical people in the first place. Memories are not infallible. They change over time as we grow older, as we misremember them, rewritten with every access, a copy of a copy of a copy, but they're also dependent on who remembers what in the first place. It all comes down to a matter of perception. This is underscored by the very first screen of the game that opens with you on a train in the desert, except you're not on a train. You're in a room in front of a video screen, but then later you are on that train in the desert. So is this real? Or is it a memory? Or is it a memory of a memory? A copy of a copy of a copy. Phoenix Springs, despite all its well-deserved praise, has yet to find its well-deserved audience. I loved everything about this game, which I'd never even heard of until the devs just straight up gave it to me out of nowhere, which, thank you very much, by the way. If you love adventure games, hard sci-fi, and stories that stay with you long after they're over, you owe it to yourself to pay a visit to Phoenix Springs. Next up is 64 by solo dev Oleg Danilov. Oh, that's an L, not a T. Oleg Danilov. I'm sure I still butchered it. Released in early 2024, currently just under 1,500 Steam reviews, and the answer to the question, what if Cookie Clicker was actually interesting to play? Don't get me wrong, I like Cookie Clicker. I've played Egg Inc., and Universal Paperclips is definitely a thing that exists in the world, but there's never been an idle game that's held my interest for longer than a day or two. But that's not the case with 64, which has the distinct pleasure of being the first idle game to reduce me into a base instinct feral clicking animal. How did 64 achieve this bit of black magic? By turning an idle game into a Zack-like. In 64, you click on these slick little IKEA-esque machines that mine cubes from the earth in a 3x3 grid, minus the miner, which can then be broken apart for gems. Gather enough gems and you can install new machines that affect how quickly you can break blocks. Keep gathering gems until you unlock other machines that help automate the miners, so long as they contain fuel, which frequently needs to be topped off, but also take up more grid space. And this is where the Zack-like aspect comes into focus. How you choose to arrange your equipment directly affects your gems per minute, and let me tell you, there are whole Reddit threads dedicated to optimizing your build. And there's some Mensa level shit in there, but then again, don't look at any threads, because that's what really makes 64 stand tall among other idlers. While half the game is all about that dopamine drip click of big number go up, the other half is having to reassess everything you thought you knew when big number suddenly slows down as you uncover newer, much more resilient gems that take forever to break with your current build, dream up a better blueprint for your factory, then watch big numbers skyrocket when you get it right, and this is intoxicating. 64 practically melts time, slipping you deep into a hypnotic stupor as you tell yourself just one more block, one more machine, one more factory reset, until you look up and hours have passed. Which is appropriate, as the story, for what it is, concerns a person seemingly trapped in this alternate dimension as they lose themselves in the work, falling out of touch with friends and family in the real world, while they potentially mess with the very fabric of our existence. 64 is so good, in fact, I had to uninstall it before it threatened to consume me. It also just received its first update in almost a year while I was making this video that completely overhauls and expands the endgame. So now is as good a time as any to lose yourself to this modern idle classic. And finally, we have Arco.
Siento su voz en mi guitarra. Noto en mis dedos el dolor.
Developed by a small 4-person team comprised of Frantic, Cahill, BBKey, and Fayer. I am so sorry if I mispronounced any of those. Released in mid-2024 and currently just under 1,500 Steam reviews. Arco is, frankly, brilliant. With simple yet stunning pixel art, a hauntingly evocative soundtrack, a gripping story of American colonialism from the perspective of the subjugated, shout out to my fellow Eduardo Galeano fans, and a heady mix of turn-based RPG with real-time tactics, as gameplay pauses while the player chooses their next moves, like where to go and who to hit, but similar to Into the Breach, you know what moves the enemy will make, and even the trajectory of their bullets. This is important because when battle resumes, everyone's actions play out at the same time, which can get delightfully chaotic. Combat is a chocolate-covered granola bar, fast, crunchy, and nutritious, as encounters almost always take no more than a handful of minutes, win or lose, with almost no penalty on death since the table is simply reset for you to try again. Everything about Arco is stripped down to only the most essential parts, from its world to its characters to its combat, and most gratefully for me, its skill trees. Because I hate skill trees. Yet, despite its stripped-back nature, Arco doesn't feel small, featureless, or empty. Instead, the empty spaces feel as if they contain unspoken volumes, like a Cormac McCarthy novel, or, once again, my boy Eduardo Galeano. You really should read Open Veins of Latin America. The horizons vast yet compact, the dialogue sparse but expressive, the combat focused yet flexible. Arco is a game so good, you want to shout about it from the rooftops to any helpless passerby, like the annoying person at a party whose jaw drops and eyes bug out when you accidentally tell them you've yet to see The Wire. That's me. I'm that annoying guy. You haven't seen The Wire?
You haven't seen The Wire?
But Arco has never lacked for supporters, as it received glowing reviews upon release, was featured in several articles about this hidden in plain sight indie gem you just gotta play, and earned a spot on several Game of 2024 lists, in a year that was pretty darn stacked. And yet, despite all this coverage, despite all the praise, despite how f***ing good Arco is, people simply did not come out for it. In an article on Games Radar published on August 22nd of 2024, one short week after the game release, Arco's pixel artist was quoted as saying, "We made something new. Our game has been well rated by critics and players, but it's sold badly. We'd get more sales copying an already well-established genre. My next project will definitely be more focused on does this sell, because making under minimum wage is embarrassing, even if it means you get to make games." 2 days before that, the developer Fire pleaded on Shitter for ideas on how they could get this game in front of more people. 2 weeks later, he celebrated Arco crossing 500 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and as I said earlier, Arco is currently just under 1,500 reviews almost a year later. I don't know what numbers they needed to hit to cover cost, but I bet they wish it was more than this. I don't know why good indie games go unplayed. The competition is too fierce. The sheer tidal wave of new releases means that most on any given day, even the great ones, sink straight to the bottom. But I do know this: if you love something, you have to champion it. We have to let developers know that they made something good, that we enjoyed it, that it affected us. Or else they'll stop making the original art they want to make and start making what they think will sell. And that is a world with less flavor, with less zest. All I can say is, if you love video games, if you love small creators, buy their stuff. Don't just wish list them, buy them, play them, leave a Steam review, talk about it on social media. Be the annoying person at the party, because you never know who will listen. And please, I'm begging you, for the love of all that is holy, watch the fucking